Hi, I'm Cheryl and welcome to my sewing room. I'm going to demonstrate how to make a really easy table runner that sometimes is referred to as the 10-minute table runner, but I'm going to show you just a few options to make it even better, so it might take you 20 minutes. So it's still a very fast table runner to make. So let's take a look at it, okay? Isn't this pretty? What's really neat about this table runner is it's got just 2 pieces of fabric and it's got 4 seams, and that's it. So it takes you really quick to make this table runner. It is a great fast project, great for making gifts during the holiday time. So let me set this aside and go over the cutting instructions for you. Now, this table runner, the one I made, is 13 inches wide by 42 inches long. Now, this may vary slightly depending on the width of the fabric that you purchase. So it might be a little shorter or maybe a little longer depending on what you're buying. Now, for the center piece of fabric, you need 1/3 yard. For the border and the back of the table runner, you'll need 5/8 of a yard. Now your options, you can either use cotton batting on the inside if you want, or heavy iron-on interfacing. Now this is just an option. Many people make the table runner without either one of these. If you choose to do one of these, then you're going to need about 1/3 yard. Now for your border, you're going to need to cut it 18 inches wide by 44 inches long. And remember, the length could vary depending on the width of the fabric that you purchase. The centerpiece, you only need to cut it 9 inches wide by the same length of whatever your fabric was, which in my case it was 44 inches. Alrighty, so now when you purchase your fabric, let me set this aside. Here's my fabric I'm going to use. When you purchase your fabric, it's folded in half, selvage edge to selvage edge. Now before you cut into it, you want to press all of it out, get all of the wrinkles out that might be in it. Then fold it back in half again, selvage edge to selvage edge, and smooth it all out. Now, the lines on your cutting mat, I want you to focus on that. Over here on my far left is a 0 line. This is where all your big numbers are. And then over here is another 0 line, right up here. And then here's the 1-inch line. So we're going to focus on the 1-inch line up here and the 0 line here. So take the folded edge of your fabric and place it on the 1-inch line and make sure it is straight across. Then you're going to pull it past this 0 line here, because we want to clean up this edge, because when you purchase fabric, the edges are never straight. So you need to straighten that out. That's real important. Just don't assume it's cut straight, because it's probably not. And again, smooth it all out and line it up there again. Now, take your long edge ruler and you're going to place the edge of the ruler on the 0 line right up here. Okay? Then also line up the edge of the ruler on the 0 line down here. Make sure it is nice and straight. Now, with your rotary cutter, you're going to cut this edge straight. Now, don't move your fabric. Leave it right where it is. Now we're going to focus over here on the 18-inch line. So place your ruler's edge on that 18-inch line as well as the 18-inch line down here. Make sure it's all nice and straight, and then with your rotary cutter again, you're going to cut all along this edge. Okay? Now, you need to cut your center piece of fabric out, but you're only going to cut it 9 inches wide. So you would line up that center fabric just like you did this. Make sure it's folded. Make sure you clean up that raw edge and only cut it 9 inches wide. Okay, great. Let me set this aside. Now that you've got all of your fabrics cut, now this is the fabric that I'm using for my center piece. Now remember those options I was talking about? Now, here is a sample of cotton batting. Now you can buy this in large pieces. This is just a small sample. You can either place your cotton batting behind the center fabric and use that to help give it some body, or as I did, I chose the heavy iron-on interfacing. Now there's 2 sides to that interfacing. This is the shiny side that has the glue on it, and on the back it's just plain, very dull. So if you choose to use the heavy iron-on interfacing, you want to take the shiny side and place it on the back side of your center fabric, and then follow the instructions on your fabric, on the package for fusing it on the back. It's a really simple process. It'll maybe add another 2 minutes to your table runner time. So either use the cotton batting if you like, or the heavy iron-on interfacing, or nothing at all. This table runner is often made without either one. So once you've done that, then you want to take your large piece of fabric and bring the front side down of your center fabric on top. Okay? And then line up the edges going lengthwise, the long side. And then go ahead and pin and stitch 1/4 inch all the way from one end to the other. Then at your ironing board, press this seam nice and flat. Then unfold it and press again on top. But you want to press the seam towards the large piece of fabric. And I'll show you a side view here so you can see what I mean. See how that seam is going towards my orange fabric? That's the direction that you want to move it into, press it into. Once you've done that, now you're going to take the other edge of your large piece of fabric and bring it on top. Okay? Now line up all of your edges, smooth it all out, and then pin and stitch 1/4 inch along this side. Once you finish stitching that side, then go to your ironing board and press this side of the seam. Now that you've pressed it on the back side, pressed your seam, then you're going to reach inside and you're going to pull this right side out so that the pretty side of your table runner is showing. Then, as you can see, the fabric is wrapping all the way around from one side to the other. So as you're smoothing your table runner out, you want to smooth it out to where you have equal amounts of border on each side. So it takes a minute to adjust it and get it to where you have approximately 2 inches on each side. You may have a little more or slightly less depending on how large your seams were. Then after you've done that, you want to cut those selvage edges off, okay? Like I already did here. Here's the selvage. You're just going to line it up, pick one of the lines on your ruler and line it up straight across up here. And then once you've done that, go ahead and with your rotary cutter, just go ahead and cut that edge off. Okay, now you're almost done. Now take the table runner and turn it to where the back side is up. Then you're going to fold it in half. Okay, give me a second to get it to fold. There we go. And at each end, line it up. Make sure you've got those corners here lined up exactly. Then you're going to go ahead and pin each end. Put pins all the way across. Then go ahead and stitch 1/4 inch seam here and do the same thing at the other end. After you have it stitched 1/4 inch along here, you want to just trim a little bit of this folded corner off right here. So just not too much, just a little bit, because we want to relieve some of the bulk, okay? You can either do it with a rotary cutter or a pair of scissors, and sometimes I just reach in here a little bit and just kind of clip a little bit of a snip there. Then I'm going to go to the other end so I can show you what you do next. Then after you've clipped that corner, then open it up like this, okay? And press this seam open. Don't press your edges here, just go along the center seam and press it open, and do this at both ends, okay? Then at both ends, you're going to reach inside and turn it right side out, and you want to just kind of poke at the corner here. I'm going to flip this over so that the camera can see what I'm doing, and just poke at this. There you go. All right, and you're going to do this at both ends. So now you can see that the table runner is beginning to form. So I'm going to go to my finished one so you can see where all the top stitching is done. Now, I highly recommend that you stitch right across here on top of the border fabric. Just stitch real close to the edge, slightly less than 1/8 of an inch, and then also stitch right down in here on the seam, and do this at both ends. And then 2 more areas to stitch, which is right here in this ditch, right along here. You're not stitching on the border fabric, but you're stitching really close, and go all the way to the ends. On both ends, you want to complete all of this. Now here in the center, I've done a little bit of decorative stitching, and I did it on a diagonal. It's just some wavy lines that I had as a decorative stitching on my sewing machine. But if you don't have a wavy line, you could do a pattern like this, where you just do 3 straight lines going from one end to the other, from here down to the other seam, and then about 2 inches apart, do some more going from here to here. And if you happen to have that wavy line stitch, this is what it would look like, something like that. Okay, and then of course give it a really nice final pressing so that it looks nice and crisp and clean. So let's take one more look at this table runner now that it's completed. I really like these. These make great gifts. They're so fast and so much fun, and they're very, very pretty. You can make one for every season of the year, and you always have a nice new fresh look in your home. Okay, well, I hope you take on this project. Now, to keep informed on all my future videos, make sure you click on one of those subscribe buttons. There's one down there in the lower right-hand corner, red, it says subscribe. Then up there in the upper left-hand corner is a round picture of my face. You go ahead and click on either one of those. YouTube's then going to prompt you for your email address. Go ahead and enter that information, and the next time I have a new video, YouTube sends you a brief email with a big button in the center. You click on it, and it's going to take you directly to my latest video. I'm Cheryl, and I'm so glad you came to my sewing room, and I'm going to see you next time, and happy sewing.